Star Wars The Next Generation. See, I'm a real fan. I'm a real fan. I'm a real fan. And yes, I know that song is a Star Trek reference. I'm a Star Trek nerd. Not Star Wars so much. Let's just do the video like this. Welcome back to Ruby on Nails, and today I have a Star Wars themed video for you. Sneaky peeky. Ooh, it's in black and white because you don't get to see it yet. You gotta finish the video. Today's video is once again sponsored by SRP Polish. They are a vegan, cruelty-free, 10-free, and made in the United States brand. The intro might have suggested or implied to you this is a Star Wars themed video, and we are gonna do a little bit of Star Wars nail art. Even though it's October and I should probably be doing something a little bit more Halloween related, I thought it would be super fun to show you how I created this look. I know a lot of you are probably going to be dressing up as a Star Wars character, as the last movie just came out last year. I'm a really big fan of the original trilogy. I'm not the biggest fan of the last 6 movies, but that's a whole argument we could have down in the comments below. This look is a special request from April, the owner of SRP Polish, and I hope I did you proud, April. I'm super in love with this look, so I hope it's something that you enjoy. Anyway, with that, let's just jump into the tutorial because I cannot wait any longer to show you how I made this look.
Honestly, it's a really cool look. I'm just gonna keep bragging about how awesome of a job I did. And for this look, I'm gonna be starting out with some Holotaco smoothing base coat because I want these to stay on my nails as long as possible. Unfortunately, that only meant 2 days because I had to move on to another project. But I cannot wait to redo these nails for May 4th, as I know I already said, but it's a great look for that. Once our base coat is good and dry, we get to move on to our first part of the nail art tutorial, which is creating the background. It is going to be a little bit of galaxy nail art, and for that you start off with 2 coats of black polish. I'm using SRP Polish's Ebony, which is a fairly opaque black creme polish. Once both of those coats are applied, I'm gonna make sure I wait a good amount of time before I move on to this next part of the nail art look, because I'm not going to be putting on a top coat. I'm going to be working right on top of this black creme. For this next part, to create that galaxy effect, I'm going to take a bit of my sponge and I'm going to tear off a corner so we get a nice rough and jagged edge. I like to use all of my sponge like leftovers from gradients or from larger pieces of sponges, but I'm going to apply a bit of SRP Polish's Ivory on a yogurt lid, and then I'm going to dab my sponge into that, and I'm just going to also dab the area next to it to get some of that excess polish off. We don't want this to be super opaque, and it doesn't necessarily need to be even. We actually want a little bit of an uneven white texture because we want some parts to be more vivid than others, and then we're going to move on. I forgot to film this part because I'm a bad YouTuber, but essentially what I'm doing with Taxi Lemon is sponging it on top of that white. And as you can see, we get a nice little gradient effect with that mix of Botanical Garden, and we get to see some darker yellow and lighter yellow. Next, for that extra special galaxy look, I'm going to put on Purple Holotaco by Holotaco. If you don't have a flaky top coat, you can just go ahead and skip this step, but I thought it would add a nice extra effect to this whole look, and I think once the characters are on our nails, it looks incredible, and I love that starry look. After that, I'm going to seal everything away with a super glossy top coat because we will be making mistakes in the next step, so we just want to make sure that we're protecting all of that lovely nail art that is underneath. Now, if you have a fear of freehanding like I do, then you could probably just stop here. This is a great way to accentuate that Star Wars costume or your life in general. It's just good nail art. Oh, look at that shine and sparkle. But we do need to let this dry for a period of time, so it's time for a puppy break. Yes, that is a oversized beanbag. No, my dog isn't really stupid small. She just loves sleeping on this beanbag, and it's so cute watching her just sleep on it all day long while I'm in the office, just kind of doing my own thing. But sometimes she does this like awkward mountain climbing thing before she settles. But now that our nails are dry, it's time to move on to the free-handing aspect of this video. This is the brush that I used for the entire video. Because these characters are going to look a little cartoony, I didn't want to go super thin, and I didn't want a very long brush. I'm starting off by making Darth Vader, and this design I started with the largest piece, which was his kind of like mouth respirator. Once the triangle was laid down, I then put 3 lines kind of to indicate that there is a grate. This whole Darth Vader look is going to be more like Ghost Vader, just in the stars. I'm not doing anything with color for him because personally I thought that was a little ambitious of me to paint like a full-on Darth Vader. It's got a lot of gray tones and like gradients and stuff. But once the triangle is done, I then painted on a little rectangle above that triangle to kind of indicate the slope from the mouthpiece to the nose, and then I drew 3 lines above that. With all of those things in place, I was kind of able to determine like the general proportions of the entire look. So my next step was painting on those kind of like eye caverns, because they're not really eyes, but they're his eyes. Anyway, his eye caverns, I just put on each side of the rectangle, and then once I did that, I was able to start drawing that kind of back fan helmet piece, the one that flares out in the back. It's not smooth, it's not the bowl on top, but the flary piece. If you look at a picture of Darth Vader, you'll know what I'm talking about. But after that, I was kind of able to just kind of draw like little open brackets around him, kind of making the bottom parts a little bit pointier than, you know, actual brackets and text. And then once that was done, I was able to paint on the bowl part of his helmet, and I just connected those 2 brackets atop with a really wide U, if that makes sense. I got pictures for you. I hope that helps. Once that part is done, we can move on to the neck, and those are pretty much just some lines angled down from the bottom part of his helmet to give his neck a little bit of definition. And then I went in and added like little greater than equal signs underneath his eyes, just to kind of make it seem like there's more definition to his helmet than there actually is in this, because you know what, he is just a ghost in the sky. The next character I decided I needed was Yoda, not Baby Yoda, classic old man Yoda. And Syrup Polish actually has the perfect color for this. Mojito is just like the perfect Yoda green, and I started by drawing kind of a half circle on the end of my nail because I'm not painting entire characters. No, we're just getting half of a head because that is too much detail for me to have the patience for. And then on the side of that half circle, I am painting some little triangles for his ears. I know these are angled way too much, like upwards, but this was on my index finger, and I just did not have the space to properly draw his little horizontal ears. Something to keep in mind as a viewer, I painted all of these characters at the same time, so I was hopping from section to section on each finger. I edited this video in order for you to see one character painted at a time in case you just wanted to see that. But in reality, I was skipping from character to character to ensure that each layer was drying properly. So if you do paint all 3 characters at home, give yourself a lot of drawing time in between things, or things will get messy and gross. This takes a long time. For my outline of Yoda, I did mix Mojito and Prospect Park from Syrup Polish because I didn't have a polish on hand that would really be the color that I would want for the outline of Yoda. So that's just me mixing it myself. Unfortunately, when you mix colors yourself, you kind of have to make a large batch to ensure that you have everything. But with this, you can see that I am just outlining his head, and then once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and outline his ears. I really like this color combo, that mix with Mojito. I think they're both just kind of nice colors. But once those are done, I can move on to painting the small details of Yoda. So that means giving his ears some definition with just some, lines. And then I'm gonna go in with Ebony and put his eyes where I want them. I did make his eyes a little big because this is kind of a cutesy look. He kind of has little beady eyes in the movies, but whatever, we can change some things because we are creative people. Then I'm going to go in with our special mix and just add some wrinkles on his face. You can add as many or as few wrinkles as you want. That's actually his mouth. Once you see the finished look, you'll understand. And then I'm just going to add some smile lines for him because in my head, Yoda smiles a lot. I don't know what that just go with the flow. You'll like the finished look. Here it is. Not gloss though. For my next character, we have Chewbacca, and I didn't have a color that I really liked, so I'm mixing some Holotaco, See Y'all Later Chai, and China Glaze, Loves You a Latte. It kind of goes together, like a chai latte, you get what I mean? In a second, you're actually going to see an example of working from nail to nail. You'll see after I'm mixing this little color mixture, there's a unfinished Yoda, and that's just to ensure that Yoda's base got a good amount of drying time while I was working on Chewbacca, so my nails wouldn't get smushed. For Chewbacca's head, I am just going to make a super big U, and it doesn't have to be super big when you do it, but in my head, Chewbacca's a fairly large character, so I wanted them to have a nice, sizable presence on my nails. And because I used a mix, I'm just going to take the brush that I used to mix those colors together and I'm just going to fill it in. And because I once again did not have the exact shade that I wanted for Chewbacca's outline and fur, I had to mix it myself. I took SRP Polish's Ebony and China Glaze's Love You a Latte, and I mixed those together to make a nice dark chocolate brown. Is it just me, or is it like really satisfying watching nail polish get mixed together? I'm enjoying watching this back. With that special mixture, I am then just going to outline the top of his head because I find that this is the easiest part, and then it'll help me kind of place all of my details. And once that is done, I'm going to create Chewbacca's famous widow peak, and it's pretty much like going to be a kind of curvy triangle at the top. I kind of swooped the ends to make it more exaggerated looking, and once that's done, I'm going to just draw 3 lines in that triangle to make it look more like hair. Doesn't need to super look like hair, but it does. I'm then going to take Ebony again with a little dotting tool to make his eyes, and then because he's got some super cute like eye wings, I'm just going to draw some more swoopy lines to really make sure that we know this is Chewbacca. And I could not leave him without a ton of fur, so I then took the same color and just kind of made some little swoopy hatch lines on the bottom to make him look more hairy. Our next step is to draw his cute little nose, so I took some more Ebony and then I just made a teeny tiny little triangle for his cute little button nose because Chewbacca on this nail art has a cute button nose. And then I just made a cute little bear mouth with some more black polish. As you can see, it started a little wonky, but once I filled it in, it was cute as a button. And then to finish off this look, I added some highlights to his eyes just to give it that little extra special detail. The last character that I decided to do was Princess Leia, so for our base color I'm just using See Y'all Later Chai once again. It's just a really nice formula, so I was glad to just be able to do one coat of this for the base of my nail art and then move on because God, at this point in time, 3 characters is a lot to paint and we're not even done. We have a pinky to do. I am once again going to be using Love You a Latte by China Glaze to place those iconic swooped back bangs that Princess Leia has. I thought it was cute to make them a little bit more swoopy than they are in the movie. And then I'm just going to draw the top part of her hair, and then once that is in place, I'm going to kind of scribble in where her iconic space buns go. While Princess Leia's space buns are ridiculously big in the movie, I decided I'd make them a little bit bigger just because this is nail art and bigger is always better in presentation, because that way people can really tell that this is Princess Leia. I'm going to be taking some more Ebony and dotting in her eyes. I find when working with human characters it's easier to do the eyes first and then do the eyes later on if it's like an animal or whatnot. Because once Princess Leia's eyes are in place, I'm able to kind of draw her smile, and then, because I don't know, I wanted to give her some eyelashes, so I gave her some eyelashes. And then after that, I used Botanical Garden to give her a little bit of a blushy blush. She deserves it. She's a princess after all. And here's yet another example of me working on all of my nails at the same time. This is the exact same color that I used for Chewbacca. It is Ebony mixed with Loves You a Latte, and because I made such a large batch, I was able to just use this on the outline of Princess Leia's hair. And as you can see, I'm just giving everything kind of some shape and some definition. And for Princess Leia's hairs, I'm going to add some stripes in the middle part. I didn't feel confident adding some swirlies to the buns, so I just left them as is. I think you can kind of get the point. And because this is a Star Wars nail art tutorial, you can't have a look without a lightsaber. For this, I am just kind of making a long white stripe. I'm just laying down white before I put on any color or detail, just to make sure all of those future colors pop. And I'm just kind of drawing like a little sword. It'll look like a lightsaber in the end, I promise. Then I'm going to take Botanical Gardens and I'm just going to fill in that top part. I know it doesn't look super glowy right now, but once this is filled in, I'm going to take a little torn up piece of sponge and I'm just going to go ahead and dab that polish while it's still wet, so it'll kind of give it an uneven finish, but it'll also add kind of an aurora effect to the lightsaber, so it'll look more glowy. Once that is done, we get to move on to filling in our lightsaber handle. I'm going to be using SRP Polish's Concrete Jungle for this, and I'm just going to cover all of the white with this gray. And I know it seems like I'm just layering stuff for the sake of layering, but I really do believe that the white base underneath it gives it a good pop. Once that is done, I'm going to draw 3 lines on the lightsaber handle with Ebony. And with that, and with a super long drying time because we don't want to mess up our art, we are then going to put on a nice thick glossy top coat on all of our nails to protect the hard work we just put into our nails. And with that, we are done. Look how cute these guys are.
Now that you've seen the finished nail art look, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Am I gonna get downvoted for this? I really loved how this look turned out. I was super surprised when the freehand nail art really just kind of came together. I think this is the best freehand I've ever done. It's definitely a skill that is my weakest when it comes to nail art, but I'm super happy with how this look came out. I cannot wait to recreate this May 4th. And yeah, if you like this video, and if you like my videos, make sure to subscribe. Once again, thank you to SRP Polish for sponsoring, and I'll see you guys next time. My head is super cut off.